أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everyone this morning or this afternoon, wherever you're located, to a edition of our Quran Reading Fluency Talk we have every Sundays. And I'm super excited to have all of you listening to me today. And one important thing that you need to understand is we've finished our curriculum of the 16 weeks Quran Reading Fluency Program that was started August this year in this live session. And I know many of you have not taken the opportunity to watch any of the videos of the curriculum, let alone have understood and mastered the tajweed rules that we've learned throughout the entire 4 months. So I'm giving another opportunity to anyone right now today that's excited about getting to take the Mus'haf and recite, qira'atan mujawwada bit-tajweed. If you would like to do that, and maybe you want your child to do that as well. We all have different things as goals in this dunya, but I would recommend you as a Muslim or as a Muslimah to make Quran and reading fluency your goal. Many people have different degrees. Some even have 8 PhDs, 8 masters, which everything will go into the dustbin of history the moment you leave this dunya, and they will be of no use to you anymore. So why not take some part of your time that you have in this dunya to learn the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn to recite the Quran yourself, and be someone that will leave a legacy that will last forever. The legacy of the Quran that will last forever, meaning you are able to recite the Quran, and for every ayat of the Quran you recited, you get ajr for it. For every ayah of the Quran you're trying to recite as well, be it you're in this dunya or you are no more, they recite it, you get ajr from it as well. So brothers and sisters, let's work towards this. I know we're all busy and different things occupying our time, but what about a long journey of no return that will come before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to account our date? So brothers and sisters, let's get started today. And I want to show you an amazing journey today of how, if you're ready, or maybe you have a child that's currently struggling to recite the Quran and read or learn, or they're just getting started, you don't know how to get started with them, you don't know how to do it. Like I've been saying for the last, many years in this talk, I say there's a way to get it done. So your 5-year-old, your 6 years old child, your 7-year-old, your 8-year-old, even you as an adult can learn to recite the Quran yourself on your own, to recite anywhere in the Quran within 16 weeks. This is not something that will take you years. Imagine that. You're not gonna take years. Those people of those in those ages, they took 10, 20 years or more than that to learn to recite the Quran themselves. And the recitation is still not perfect, right? But it took a lot of years to learn. But we today, we have this, tips and this opportunity on the tip of our finger. But subhanAllah, we're not taking the opportunity and using it. So join us in our reading fluency program. I want to show you today how we do this in our program. So for all of you that have been listening and been watching and saying, oh, how does this program work? Imam, I've talked about the reading fluency program that can make someone to learn to recite in 4 months. How does it really work? So I'll take you into the inner, working of this program today. And so if you're someone that's on the fence, that's been actually thinking about learning to recite the Quran or wanting your child to do it, maybe your child is really having struggle with motivation, they're forgetting lessons of the Quran they're learning, or maybe they're still learning for years and years and still not reading the Quran themselves with tajweed. You don't want that to keep happening. You don't want that to keep continuing. You want to stop that. And I'm going to share a lot of goodies with you all today and give you opportunity to get started. All right, even if you're not signing up into our full program today, that takes 16 weeks, you need to take some step today. Okay, to get started, I'll give you access to cool resources that you can start using today to upgrade your recitation of the Quran, so you can learn the proper recitation method and learn how to recite correctly with confidence. So I want to share with you some guide I wrote few years back. I wrote these 2 guides that's really simple, that makes people understand what they need to learn. So I'm going to share with you first right now of what do you need to learn, okay? What do you need to learn to become a fluent Quran reciter? It's not really, I call it's not rocket science, right? People think of these things as being really hard. Oh, Quran is tough. Oh, it's hard. It's really gonna be hard for those who want to make it hard. Okay, so Quran, Allah says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. That Allah has made the Quran, has made it easy for remembrance, right? Right? Has made it easy for remembrance. So Allah has made it easy for remembrance. It's we human beings that get so much busy with a lot of things occupying our heart that's driving us towards away from the Quran and making us feeling it hard to learn. So I want to share with you, these are the curriculums that we teach in the program. And you see, this curriculum is not everything about Tajweed, but these are the basics that anyone that's really willing, okay, to learn to recite the Quran and avoiding what I call the akhta. The Quran learning is really important. But anyone reciting the Quran, they recite as of two categories, right? So people reciting the Quran can be those who are reciting and they are really great. Allah will pull them in the saf of the malaika. Salam said, Al-Qaru bil-Quran, right? Those who recite the Quran, right? Those who recite the Quran, Al-Mahir bil-Quran, sorry. Ma'a safarat al-kiram al-barara. They will be in the companions on the company of the noble people on the day of Qiyamah. Allah is not even talking about those who memorize the Quran. Those who recite the Quran, al-Mahir, of course, it will be someone that have actually mastered the recitation, that have mastered the reading of the Quran in accordance to the Sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is what the Tajweed is about. The Tajweed is about the way Allah has revealed the Quran to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he read and taught the Sahaba. Okay, so anyone that actually strive, imagine, you see, I'm also doing some other things aside from Quran reading and teaching, which is about dunya, right? We need to do that. But at the same time, we need to invest in our akhirah. So Allah mentioned that the person who is an expert Quran reciter will recite the Quran, of course, with sincerity. They will be in the companions, in the company of the noble people on the day of Qiyamah. Okay, so those are that. So do you want to be like that? If you want to be like that, then you need to take action. We have the second category of those who recite the Quran, who are those who make mistakes. They are novice, or they're actually reciting, they are not applying the makharij, they're not pronouncing the letters correctly. They're also not reciting using the rules of tajweed. They're not applying the attributes of the letters, right? The sifat of the huruf. And this is what tajweed is about, right? You need to learn about the makharij, you need to learn about the sifat of the huruf, and you need to learn about some ahkam, right? And this is what we teach in our program here. So when you are not understanding those, or you're not able to recite the Quran, you're making mistakes of all these things I'm talking about, you will be in the category of those who are making mistakes. And those who are making mistakes are also further divided into two. We have those who are blameworthy, those who are actually, you know that they're not doing great, they cannot recite correctly, but they're really arrogant and say, I'm not having time to do this anymore. This is out of my own, out of what I need to do today, out of what I need to do in my life. They all have learned it when I was young, they don't have time or do not even want to create time for it. And the reality is what we're going to leave this dunya. All those things that get us occupied will leave us before, either we like it or not. All right? It's either we leave it or they leave us, right? So if you are among those I've mentioned who are making mistakes but do not take steps to rectify the mistakes to learn better, they will be the blameworthy people. They will be the ones who are going to be accountable for what they've done because they know they are not reciting the Quran. They know they are not doing it very well. They are reading the Quran, making huge mistakes, and still doing that without taking chances and taking time to actually learn properly. The second category of those who are making mistakes are those who are taking effort to rectify their recitation better. They will even have two ajr. Lahum ajran. They will have the ajr of qira'ah, right, of reading, and they also have the ajr of struggling, of learning. Imagine that. So if you are in this category today that you make mistakes, you know very well that you don't understand the tajweed of the Quran, you don't know how to recite correctly, and you want to be among the Mahir of the Quran, as Allah mentioned, then it's time to take action. And not just for yourself alone, but for a child. Quran has tremendous benefits in the life of a Muslim. I'm not here to talk about the benefits of reciting the Quran. We have a lot to learn, all right? There's a lot of stories about Quran recitation and the benefits of it in our spiritual life, even in this worldly life as well. So take the time today to listen to me on how this can work for you and your child. So if you're someone that wanna be excused from mistakes, you need to learn. But you get double reward for striving to do it today. Okay, because there are two major mistakes, which is something I wrote in a guide I'm going to show to you all today. I wrote a guide that I think 7 pages or 8 pages that talks about what you need to learn as a beginner to recite the Quran, so that you're not focusing on the peripheral of things that's not required. You learn the basics that's going to take you to a certain extent to read yourself. So there are two mistakes people make in Quran recitation. One, we have the major mistake. We call it al-lahnu al-jali in the Quran. In the circle of the scholars of Tajweed, right? It's called the al-lahnu al-jali, meaning the major mistakes that will change the meaning of the ayat, that will change the meaning of the Quran. So imagine you're reciting "Qul a'udhu," right? That's the word. But you said, but instead of you say "Qul a'udhu," you said "qil" or "qal a'udha." What happened there? You've changed the letters sound. Right? You pronounce the letters, but the sound on them has changed. So you've changed the harakat. That recitation is wrong. And a lot of people do this every day. Every day. Subhanallah. Of course, Allah will not take you for what you don't know. But if you know you're not doing fine, take time to learn. Because you know you're not doing fine, you're not reciting correctly, do not continue with that, brothers and sisters. You committing errors. And some of the scholars even say it's haram for you to know that you're actually making that mistakes and you continue doing it. It's like you're having kibr, that what will Allah do for you? You know you're reciting wrongly. You didn't take time to rectify what you've learned to make sure it's correct. And people even call it to others like, no, that's how I learn it. People have that kind of temerity. They'll say, yeah, that's how I learn it. No one can actually, control me. That's not right. So because if you do that, it's haram to do that. You know fully well that it's wrong. Or for instance, you're putting med where there's no med. Like for instance, the same word, قُلْ أَعُوذُ. Right, I'm going to actually do an example here. قُلْ أَعُوذُ. So this is a word in some ayat of the Quran, which is the last qul, right? This is how the word look like. قُلْ, and this is أَعُوذُ, right? أَعُوذُ. This is the word itself, right? And the hamza. So this is قُلْ. This is sukun here. There's a dhamma, all right? There's a dhamma here. And there's a dhamma here. أعوذ. That's how this word look like, right? This side's written. But imagine you want to pronounce this, but instead of giving this one a dhamma, you give it a fatha. You give it a fatha. In that regard, you've changed the meaning of that word, right? You've changed the meaning of that word. Or for instance, you want to pronounce kul, and then you actually miss this wow here. This wow is wa umadiyya. It's elongating the wa, the u, it's making it elongated for 2 counts. Imagine if you actually move out that dhamma, that wa mad from it, you've actually changed the meaning of that word as well. So these are called the akhta al-jali, meaning the major mistakes. So you've made the mistakes of the harakat, the mistakes of even letters. Sometimes people pronounce the letters that's not there. Or you make the mistakes of the mudud, right? Like it changes the meaning of the word. And this is called the major mistakes. So anyone that knows they're doing that mistakes, they need to rectify that. They don't want to just do that and keep doing that to they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reciting the Quran and reading that wrongly. And that's why anyone that will lead the salah must be someone that's been certified to have learned to recite the Quran properly. Okay. And then the other mistakes are called the minor mistakes, really things that will likely not gonna mess up the meaning of the Quran. They will not change the meaning of the Quran, but they will actually change the tradition of Quran recitation, right? So for instance now, uh, when someone is reciting, there's something called waqf, stopping on Quran or you pause, right? When you stop on the recitation, let's say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. What did I do there? If you look at the ayah, بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, right? This is the word in the Quran, al-falaq. All right, when you see that ayah in the Quran, if you go check everyone, so this qaf here has a kasra, right? When you're reciting falaq, برب الفلق, right? But when you are stopping on recitation of the Quran, you will not pronounce the kasra. So you will do qalqala, you will do waqf. And so these are minor rules that if you don't put those rules, it's not gonna actually change the meaning of the Quran, but you actually changing the tradition of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way Quran is being recited. The tajweed is not coined and designed by some people. It's actually the way Allah has revealed the Quran that was recorded and documented and now put together as a curriculum for people to learn. You see that? So here, for instance, you want to stop and you say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Like you pronounce what you saw there, bro. In the tajweed rule, you don't do that. You will stop on the qaf with what? A sukun. And of course, the qaf is among the letters of qalqala. We've learned this in the past few months. This qaf will have an echo sound, right? You can say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ or بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. You see that? That's how you stop. So making that kind of mistake is called lahnu al-khafi. The mistakes that are very light, that's not really gonna mess up the meaning of the Quran. Even though the scholars say it's disliked, but average people do not know them, right? They read based on what they see there. There are some other very technical rules, maybe the ahkam al-ra. How do you pronounce the ra? Is it tarqiq or tafkhim? Or the pronunciation of the Ismullah al-Jalala, Allahu, Allahu? How do you pronounce those things, right? These are minor mistakes that not necessarily change the meaning of the Quran. So when we teach students in our program, we focus first on the major mistakes. And that's what we do in the first 16 weeks in the program here. So the mistakes that will make someone change the meaning of the Quran. Of course, we teach some of the bit of the minor together, but like we teach some of them that are actually required. So we teach majorly, we teach all the major, we avoid all the major mistakes. So student will learn all the tajweed rules regarding avoiding major mistakes and learn a little bit about the minor ones as well. We do have it in bit together, right, in our curriculum. So this is what you'll be learning. You'll be learning to become a fluent Quran reciter by avoiding all the major mistakes and learning to understand to apply some of the minor one as well. Okay. So that's why in our program here, we have this curriculum. We call it the learning trifecta. Aside from you even having the Quran Tajweed curriculum, which we already have, we have like 4 levels in the program here. We also do have what we call the learning trifecta. I mean, many of you that have been following with me for a long time knows about the system that we use in the program. It's called the accelerated Quran reader system. It's a name I coined for the program curriculum or structure of teaching, because what we do, we have 3 requirements for students to learn in the program. It's really those who are joining our live sessions, right? So they need to have a winning environment that will make them excited to learn. Especially we teach kids, and when the kids learn alone, you might have your child already learning right now, but they're so bored learning the Quran. They're actually really heavy to go to the classes. They give excuses, but they don't do that for school. Do you know why? Because the classroom is boring. It's not exciting. It's not really enjoyable. They're not enjoying the class the way they enjoy in classrooms in schools. So we design our curriculum to make sure students have what we call the winning environment so that they always love to be in the classrooms. I have my little girl here. She's 5 years old. And she joined the kids online as well, though I teach her at home, but she loves, and she's gonna be like, there was a day we actually went out, and he was late and she was challenging me, Daddy, why do you let me be late to my class? She was actually challenging me like, why didn't you let me attend my class on time? Because she loves to have to meet her colleagues in the classroom. That's what I'm saying about reading fluency, right? It's not just about the curriculum sometimes, it's about how you design the classroom. You need to take care of the mindset of these little kids and how they feel connected to what they're learning first. So we have a setup in the program here that have students who are of the same age, of the same level. If they're all beginners, not more than 5 in the classroom. So they learn together, they have quizzes, they learn the curriculum of Tajweed from the beginning to the end, right? So they learn together, they have the quizzes, they have competitions, they have prizes to win, they have a lot to do in the classroom. This is excitement they have, right? And so that's what brings them to the classroom. Sometimes they don't even want to come, but they know they have like, oh, the quiz to do, they have the game to play at the end of the class. They want to see their friend in the classroom and have the practice together. This is what moved them to the class. In the long run, they're learning along that way, right? So the environment, a lot of students are missing that. That's why you see many kids are not motivated to learn, because the environment is which they're learning is really boring. Okay. The other trifecta or pillar of our learning is we have some habits that we track for student every week. So we have a sheet, we have a tracking system, I'll call that. So every out of all 180 students we have in our program right now, so we have each of them is monitored, right? Each of them is tracked. We monitor every individual student every week. And we have a private chat with each parent So every week we report to the parent what's going on, whatever needs to be done. This is what we call mentorship. A lot of people are teaching Quran to kids, but it's not mentorship. You cannot teach a child alone, especially when it's not your own child. You need to relate with those who own the kids and give them proper follow-up feedback. We even do better than many schools, even here in the US, here in Canada. We report every week. Which school does that, right? They don't report to you weekly, right? Maybe at the end of the term or mid of the semester, right? We report weekly to you. So you actually know what's going on in your child's learning, what issues, what are the strengths. And we celebrate students who are doing amazing and achieving those milestones of attendance to classes, punctuality, and doing their homework. So those are the learning habits. You see, your kids are learning the Quran. All they do is they go and come back, nothing revised. They will be there for a long time. So you need to find a way to have kids do homework. So we have a learning portal, which I've shown many times in these talks. The kids will record, or student will record their reading and get feedback, audio, video feedback. We use the system in the program here. And they also have Quran Tajweed apps, which will help them practice learning. So those homework is required weekly. It takes them 5-10 minutes. They will get tracked their attendance to make sure they're actually meeting a threshold of attendance and punctuality. We have 80% requirements weekly for students. See, and that's what we're doing. So the habit is built and tracked and monitored and reported. Okay. And we also have the strategy that we use in the program. I've said this many times. So it's 3 pillars of learning, right? Of strategy that we use. And I wrote a guide about that, a few years back. I'll show you today. And so if you need access to those two guides I'm going to share today, just comment Quran below this video and I'm going to shoot you those guide PDFs, right? I have that in my current if you are in that expert Quran readers Facebook community, you'll see it under the guide section. You see those two guides in there. So it helps them build the tajweed skills, and those are the 3 pillars of learning. So they build the skills, they retain the lessons, and transfer the skills. So they build the skills, meaning they learn the basics of tajweed from the foundation. We don't delay tajweed learning for students. They learn right from the beginning, right? So they know and how to recite. I have a parent who told me this week, his son joined us in June this year. A beginner, he doesn't know how to recite the Quran. They've not learned to read. He started learning the letters, Ali, Ba, Ta, Tha. By last upper month, which is October, they finished the curriculum program. And then he's reciting right now himself from any ayah, any page, from June, right? June, July, August, September, October, right? They finish in October. And so he's now telling his dad that I'm gonna teach my mom how to recite the Quran. Maybe the mom doesn't know how to read, but the child is really confident that he can teach this to his mom because he was taught the basics of the tajweed. So nothing is hidden for him. He knows everything that you have on the Quran, symbols, the signs, what do they connote, what do they mean. So this is what I call the building, right? You cannot have your child learn the Quran by a teacher just reciting to their mouths. The child will never learn correctly. Forget about it. They will memorize from the mouth of the teacher, but in terms of them being confident about themselves reciting, they will not. So we need to teach them and let them know exactly what they actually pronouncing and why are they pronouncing it that way. So we build the skills for students and we help them to revise, to retain the lessons. So they learn to build the skills together in a group format, but they come one-on-one to actually revise the classes lessons. So they learn in the group sessions twice during the weekdays in the evenings, right? So then they have the revision class on the weekend for like one-on-one session. It's going to be 30 minutes. The group sessions on the weekdays will be like an hour each long. So maybe Monday, Wednesdays, or they do it Tuesdays, Thursdays, right? And then on the weekends, they have a revision class. So each student in the group, not more than 2 to 5 students maximum in the classroom, right? They must be of the same age, the same level, the same, the same location, the same quality, right? They learn together the way they learn in school. And that's why it's so fun. I've had a lot of parents talk about this. The kids join the program within just a week or two. The kids is loving to be in the class. They will even be the one to remind their parents, Mommy, my class is starting right now. Imagine that. This is what it's called the winning environment. So the kids who have learned to learn in that kind of environment, we monitor them. We have a mentorship system here. The kids will be monitored every week in the program and tracked. Okay. And then they have the curriculum to build the skills. They revise weekly in a one-on-one session to revise. And then they have homework to do to transfer the skills. So they build the skills, they revise, then they transfer the skills. So if it's you right now that you have a child that's struggling to read, that's wanting to learn the Quran and read very well on their own. So if you're joining the program, we'll use this method to teach, to build the skills, retain and transfer the skills, but your child is going to learn all these tajweed concepts. right? If a child is 5 years old, your child is 6 years old, 7 years old, no worries. The minimum age must be 5. So we teach students from age 5 and above. We have adult classes. We're actually launching a program in the next few weeks. It's only for adults. So you as an adult, you don't have to worry about attending live sessions. I already have all the tajweed recordings, high quality video that we shoot here from my office here. So you will have access to that course. It's a self-paced course. You're able to watch it yourself. You're able to watch the lessons, do quizzes in that portal there. You're able to do homework yourself and get graded. So you will have access to that self-paced learning for adults who are willing to learn. So be on the lookout for that course. I will launch it, on our Facebook ad. You will see it, and it's gonna be very, very, very well, that's affordable, right? So you see it there, and you can learn and join that yourself. But if you have a child that cannot learn on their own, you know, our live session is a bit better for kids, right? So join us if you want to get your child to learn the Quran and be a fluent Quran reciter. So everyone that's actually interested in getting my guide, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to share with you all. There's a guide resource I wrote about the method that we used to teach Quran here. So if you're really interested, it's just for those who are interested in having this. Just comment below this video. It's an ebook I'm going to share with you. I wrote this ebook, I think it's now 3 years now I wrote it. So I call Learn 3 Fast Strategies to Help Your Child Become a Fluent Quran Reader. So, I put it here. So I have the steps I put there. So you can be able to actually, I explain it there. You can actually understand how it is and how we actually do it. And if you have any other question, you can actually book a call with me and talk about it. So if you need access to this guide, which I explain the method that we use in teaching the program, let me know. I can send it to you. And this is the curriculum I that we use. I actually wrote a guide about that as well. That gives a very simple analogy of how the curriculum works and what your child is going to learn or what they should learn. So I made some explanation in the beginning of what I've said today in this call. So if you're really interested in getting started and you want to know more about this program here, comment below this video and type Quran, and or DM me. I'm gonna send you the e-copy of this guide. So the first one is about the strategies that we use, right? The strategy that we use on program. The second guide is about the curriculum, I will teach it, and what your child needs to learn. What you need to learn as a parent as well, or as an adult, before you can recite the Quran. So we put it here. So if you're really interested, we have a lot of resources free of this. So if you're really interested about this, you're interested in this, and you want your child to learn, or you yourself wants to learn, you want to build more connection with us here and learn to recite the Quran yourself, comment below this video, and so I'm going to reach out to you and send you this e-copy of these books, and so we can get in touch, inshallah. You're really excited to get started and learn to recite the Quran yourself in the next 4 months or for a child, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, everyone. See you later. So subhanakallah wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.